Okay, item number 4 under special items is our classified council president recognition to be presented by interim superintendent Wayne Eads.
Brian and Gilbert, if you would approach the podium. Get closer, you may have to say something, so, okay. I had a call from Gilbert earlier today, said, I'm on the agenda. But I'd like to start this item by introducing to Mr. Vice President and the board, Brian Dunbar. He's on the far left. He is the president-elect of the Classified Council and will be taking this role for next year. And I wanted you to meet him. And he's here in case Gilbert faints or anything. So he's currently serving as vice president, as I said, and is studying the role of president under our current president, Mr. Gilbert Arizmendi. This is Gilbert right here. You may recognize him. I'd like to recognize him with a few words. Gilbert has been the president of the Classified Council since 2011, but he first came to work for the district in 2009, and I'm happy to say I had something to do with that by making a recommendation for him. It turns out that was a very good day for the district. We got more, we got more than somebody in the warehouse. Gilbert has been an example of what it means and what it takes to be a contributor to the community and to the district. From his first day, he worked hard to be the best, and he is the best. Sometimes people just do what they need to do to get by, but not Gilbert. He is always actively engaging in and thinking about how to improve the workplace and our community. Just last week, Gilbert created some space in the warehouse and helped a team from the Assistance League sort and stack the uniforms that they are donating for our students next year. He already has them scheduled for delivery, by the way. And he's done this for several years, and the Assistance League recognized his effort with a nice letter to his supervisor, which will go in his file. Gilbert gives the extra effort to make things better and makes the district look good in the process. In his job as the District 6 warehouse manager, he recognized the opportunity to capture the value of surplus items. He realized that out of date doesn't necessarily mean out of value. He organized a process to post surplus items on the internet, and just last month, April, the total for items sold through the public surplus auction went over $100,000. This is the direct result of Gilbert's efforts and ingenuity. Gilbert also made it his mission to be sure that District 6 did not waste or throw away anything that still had life in it. He developed a process to offer surplus items to schools and has recycled over 4,000 items with an estimated value of $75,000, and that's $75,000 worth of equipment and supplies we didn't have to buy. He's also made connections in the community, letting businesses, colleges, and citizens know the school district always has a need for student desks, teachers' desks, office chairs, student chairs, furniture, cubicles, school and office supplies, and even weight equipment, I think, will wind up on that list at one point. If they're in good shape, he can place them in a school where they are needed. I don't know how many donations have come in this way, but I just know last week Gilbert got 300 chairs, good folding chairs, that will have a useful home in the district. Finally, Gilbert, you've gained the confidence of everyone in the district, including me. We'll miss your regular attendance at the board meetings and other district events. However, we all know you'll be at the service center taking care of business. And thanks for everything you've done, and the Board of Education would like to present you with a certificate of service at this time.
Well, Gilbert, the Weld County School District 6 extends heartfelt gratitude for your outstanding service, devotion, and dedication to your admirable demonstration of what it means to live and act with selfless concern for others, and your steadfast support of our students and staff. Thank you very much.
Thank you. If I could, I'd like to say a couple words.
Yes, please.
I'd like to thank you, Wayne, for those kind words and school board. I'd also like to thank Brian and ask everybody in the council to continue to support Brian next year, classified council. I'd like to thank my mom and my wife, and she surprised me by getting my kids here and my grandkids. So thank you very much for coming. And what I do for the district, I couldn't do by myself. I have a great support team. There's two guys that work with me, Paul Salazar and Vince Mena. And every time I come up with some crazy idea of doing something, they're always willing. They go along with it, and it always seems to work out. And I'd like to also thank Jeremy West, my director, for allowing me to be able to do what I do. And we do it just because we like helping out. We know how important it is for students and for teachers to have chairs and desks. So we will continue to do that. Thanks again.
Thanks, Gilbert. Well, I know Gilbert, whenever I see Gilbert out in the community, he always recognizes me and gives me his big white smile. So I know he's probably that way with everybody, so thank you. Our next section is education, and presenting this evening for McGraw Hill Education Elementary Literacy Curriculum Purchase in the amount of $1,532,402.78 is Chief Academic Officer Stacy Dattery and Coordinator of Elementary Literacy Kelly Silbach.
It's just me this
Just you
evening
today.
with you, actually.
Kelly's not here. Okay.
So, yes.
Would you mind introducing? It's an action item, so we'll let you introduce the topic, and then we'll hear in a moment. Is that okay?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
And I don't have a whole lot more to say. This is on the heels of last week's adoption that you all approved for the elementary K-5 resources of Reading Mastery Signature Edition at K-1 and Wonders K-5. Those are both curriculum with the publishing company of McGraw Hill Education Company. And as you stated, the price is $1,532,402.78 for this entire adoption proposal. So
Okay.
if you have any questions, I would be happy to take them.
Okay. Well, this is an action item. I would ask for a motion.
I move that the Board of Education of Weld County School District approve the purchase of Reading Mastery Signature Edition, published by McGraw Hill for grades kindergarten and first, and Wonders, published by McGraw Hill for grades 2nd through 5th for elementary language arts curriculum, not to exceed $1,532,402.78 as presented.
Second.
Do we have any discussion? Any questions? Dr. Richard?
Can we go back? Last week we took the time to talk about what it was that we were purchasing, but the actual purchase of it. So you mentioned last week that READ Act funds would be doing that, and that would be for about what portion?
Okay, so as I shared with you last week, approximately $1 million we got in READ Act money, and that is funding the better part of this, two-thirds of this, and then about $500,000, the remainder, $532,000, it was budgeted for in the current budget, in the curriculum budget line item in the Division of Academic Achievement overall budget. And so that total
Will come from those two sources.
comes from those two sources, correct.
I just, this is a big vote tonight.
Yes, it is.
Because this is a real big game changer, can be a game changer for our students to be updating what our teachers are working with. And I guess I was really struck by seeing all those teachers up there and realizing that with this vote, we could put the tools in their hands to do the best that they can do with our students. And while our prior materials were great, they were purchased in 2006, and things have changed since then.
Yes.
And so it's really exciting to be able to move us forward with this. So thank you.
Thank you.
Are there any other comments? Well, again, it's nice. I appreciated seeing all the time and effort that was put into this by not only our administration, but all the teachers and those that were involved in the process of selecting the curriculum. And from my account and from those I've interacted with, it's a very good process, and appreciate all the work that's gone into it.
Thank you.
Ms. Brea, may we have a roll call vote, please?
Mr. Haefele?
Aye.
Mr. Hall?
Aye.
Mr. Lydiak?
Aye.
Dr. Richard?
Aye.
Mr. Richardson?
Aye.
Mrs. Solis?
Aye.
And the motion carries 6-0.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
I think you get to stay up there, don't you? Our next item is SchoolCity Inc., Benchmark Assessment and Management System. And this is an action item for a purchase, and presenting is Chief Academic Officer, Dr. Stacy Dattery, and Director of Assessment, Dr. Sophia Masowicz.
Well, thank you again for your time, Vice President Richardson and Interim Superintendent Eads, as well as all members of the school board. We are bringing forward to you this evening the recommendation of the assessment system from the adoption, or the Assessment System Adoption Committee. Formally, we have used the system called Galileo, which many of you have heard of and our teachers are very familiar with. In that time, teachers have used that assessment system to the best of their ability, and it was very closely aligned with our former Colorado Model Content Standards and the expectations in the former standards and the assessment program that we have been under. However, as we know, with the advent of the changes both in standards as well as in assessment in the last few years in our state, our current system is really not supporting our needs as teachers with our students. And we certainly know that we could look into this and find something that would better address the assessment expectations for our students. So tonight we are asking for the board for their approval of a new assessment system, and one that will address our concerns of our internal stakeholders and support our district to move forward into this new era of assessment within our instruction. So we will now share with you the process and the results of the committee from this year. So the assessment committee had two main focus areas of work that they convened to study over this past year. First, they worked to evaluate several different systems and then selected an assessment system that would meet the needs of students and teachers, principals, and district leaders as they then worked in the final stages to provide that recommendation that would not only provide a new assessment system, but also would provide flexibility in both formative and benchmark assessments in a variety of different instructional models. As a district, we recognize that we need to ensure that our students have mastered the content at each grade level, and we need an assessment system that provides flexibility for our teachers to meet the various needs of our students. One in which they can implement in both a blended learning instructional model as well as in a traditional instructional model. That was the task that was set out for this committee. So, over the process of 5 months, Sophia is now going to share the process that the teachers went through as they set out to address those needs.
First of all, thank you so much for being able to bring this forward. And I'd like to recognize those teachers, and although many are not here, I think publicly recognizing the work that they did over the course of this discovery and investigation. So our members are Casey Bass, Melissa McLarty, Sarah Omoto, Michelle Har Anderson, Kimberly Rudolph, Tracy Ragusis, Brandy Thompson, Vita Trevino, Lori Ford, Kimberly Fisher, Carrie Smith, Daniel Mork, Sadie Antuna, Donald Wagner Jr., Amy Belkins, Eduardo Navidad, Mary Baker, Jessica Ozaya, John Kleiber, I believe, is in the room. Thank you, John. John Debo, Insoon Olson, Robert Williams, Shannon Elliott Finley, and Shannon is here. Carrie Ellis, Diana Riley, and we had others to join us in the final selection stage, Amanda Krieger, Dagan Andrews, Joe Runenberg was also, and I think Joe is also here. Thank you so much. Before I share with you the recommendation, I would like to walk you through the process and the timeline of the Benchmark Assessment Committee. In 2014, the feedback gathered in a variety of settings from principals and teachers indicated a need for assessments that use technology-enhanced items, similar to CMAS. Teachers and principals requested that assessments provide enhanced opportunities for educators to gain greater understanding of the standards through the various ways students would be asked to demonstrate their skills and concepts. And in response to that, a request for proposal was released in January 2015. A district benchmark committee was organized, inviting teacher leaders who had served on district vertical teams, content or grade level leaders, or other district leadership experiences. Invitations were also sent to content coordinators, assistant principals, our school assessment coordinators, and principals from across the division. So from January to February, various meetings were held to stakeholder groups to gather feedback on the academic requirements, the assessment rubric, and to hear what stakeholders need for a new assessment system. Meetings were held with a variety of groups, including principals, assistant principals, content coordinators, instructional coaches, elementary math, reading, content leaders, and just all of those in the content areas. So our reach was to make sure that all of the stakeholders understood what was being asked and also to inquire about their needs. So from mid-February through March, the Benchmark Assessment Committee began the pre-screening process of thoroughly reviewing the 8 vendors' proposals of the assessment system. The essential goals established for an assessment system were to inform teachers' decision-making in instruction, to provide analytical data on the academic progress of all students, and to provide predictive information on the high-stakes state assessments. The committee members evaluated each of the 8 proposals, and these goals were at the forefront. The proposal for each vendor was rated by a group of 4 committee members, is the process, and 6 groups read each proposal and rated each component using the assessment rubric. As a result, the top 2 rated vendors were recommended for further consideration. The next step taken was to evaluate the merits of the 2 vendor products through presentation and feedback from other stakeholders attending the meeting. So that meeting occurred on March 24th. And the 2 top vendors were SchoolCity and Illuminate Education, and they did a face-to-face presentation of their assessment system to the benchmark committee, including those in attendance. Content coordinators, directors, attending principals, and teachers from across the district. So at the end of the presentations, the benchmark committee reviewed the feedback from the attending participants. The committee scheduled an additional meeting on March 21st to make the final selection. So on April 23rd, the recommendation was shared with the District Curriculum Council, and they approved the recommendation. And on May 11th, the initial recommendation was presented to the board in a work session. So tonight, the recommendation for SchoolCity as the new assessment system for Greeley-Evans School District is being brought before the board to act upon the recommendation.
So as we present this to you this evening, we believe that our process has been thorough, it's been thoughtful, and very inclusive, as evidenced by the materials in your board packet. We have chosen the very best assessment system that is out there to meet the needs of our teachers, to meet the needs of our students, and we believe this system will provide a more meaningful assessment approach that really is better aligned, not only with state expectations, but also with a more integrated approach into instruction. The total cost of this system in year one is $118,012.50, and the annual ongoing cost after this initial startup year will be $95,512.50. Again, this expenditure is included in this year's budget allocation for an assessment system. And so, we thank you for your time in allowing us the opportunity to present to you both at last week's work session as well as this evening, and we will take any questions you may have.